Hello everyone, this is In-Game Art with another boxing, another offline product game review. This is Ys Memoire, the Oath of Felghana for the PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, this physical copy here is just a base vanilla version of the game, so the on-disc version is 1.0.0. Now sadly there was a very small update. This update size was 78 megabytes big and will take you to version 1.01.0 since the time of this video. Now like always, I play all my games completely offline with an unregistered account, and I didn't experience any massive game-breaking bugs or issues. And as well, I was still unlocking trophies with my unregistered account. Now, surprisingly, this is my first time I've ever sat down and played an Ys game from beginning to end, and pretty much tried to do everything I could possibly can in the game, which was actually a fairly decent experience. Now, from my understanding, Ys Memoire, the Oath of Felghana, is a PSP game. I believe it was a handheld originally, and it got, of course, ported over to newer gen consoles, and as well as it's got some minor enhancements done to the game, like giving the game like turbo mode, as well as apparently giving somewhat a voice acting to Adol, which is the main character you play as. Now, he's not given full dialogue, he just occasionally gives like a "will you see," or "here's the thing." He'll say like minor dialogue. It's not really like full voice acting for his character. But as I said, this is my first time ever actually sit down and playing an Ys game from beginning to end, and I decently had a good time. Now, it's not a super in-depth game. It's definitely just a typical, very hacky-slashy RPG, light RPG experience. And overall, I was fairly surprised at how much I enjoyed the game. Now, the game has multiple difficulties, and I did play the game on hard. And I'm a little mixed on this because while the game has like multiple difficulties, it might be better to play the game on the very easy difficulty and then try to max out your level and get to level 99 and then get New Game Plus after you beat it, and that way you can play on that higher difficulty. Why I say this is because on very easy you get like double experience, so it just seems like an odd thing to do, so you might as well just start on the very easiest difficulty and get max level or max experience through that and then go to New Game Plus and then play on the highest difficulty. I probably would have done that if I knew a little bit more, but I played on hard. It was a fairly challenging experience on hard, so please bear that in mind. You will have to do quite a bit of grinding if you're going to want to have more comfortable experience if you play it on hard, so it might be better to play it on a little bit easier difficulty if it's your first time playing it. If you don't mind grinding like me, it wasn't too bad, and as well as that, since I have turbo mode, we just click on R3 and you have 1.5 turbo, or if you click it again, you get 2.0 speed, like doubling the speed of the game, which is really nice. Now, the game doesn't teach you about the R3 button, which was surprising. I accidentally clicked on it and didn't realize it was a thing until I was like, oh, turbo mode. But I just want to let you know that, and overall, I did enjoy, like I said, the experience. Now, the story isn't anything too amazing. Evil overlord is a god resurrecting, and you're the hero, and you're the chosen one. You have to stop the prevention of some new ancient god from evil spirit from rising. Nothing amazing. You play as Adol, you come with your best friend, Dogi, and you come to his hometown, and you find out his hometown is having some problems going on from some castle or some king, and you have to figure out what's going on, and so on and so forth. Nothing too amazing, nothing too immersive in terms of story, and I do got to point out, I did play the game with English voice acting. While most English voice acting was alright, there were some English voice acting that was like definitely C tier, maybe even D tier in quality. It cracked me up how, like, just inconsistent the quality in the terms of the voice acting for the English voice acting. Again, I usually play dub if it's available. Then I generally do with Japanese dubbing. So just keep that in mind. I take the game of English voice acting. It's not the worst. It's not like completely ruining the experience. But if you're someone who's picky about your voice acting, maybe English voice acting is not going to be for you. For me, it was fine. But I do want to point out one little grievance I had with the game. There is no map in the game, which, granted, the levels are not super long or super big, but there are sections and areas it would have been really nice to have some map of a point of reference and information-wise. I did find that a little cumbersome, as well as that AI pathing can be a little wonky. I did have occasionally AI just walking into the wall for no real reason. I just thought it was weird, and I just was able to run right past them because they just kept walking into the wall, even when I was like right by them sometimes. It was really weird. As well as that, I do want to point out I did miss one quest because there is a missable quest that's not inside the main town you visit. Apparently, it's right in the front gates of the kingdom, and if you do a certain quest, it pops up, but as you get done doing another quest, it goes away. So if you're not there right as that quest is available, you'll be lost forever. So until you play New Game Plus, obviously. But I thought that was a little annoying, a little frustrating. I wish somebody in the town would have mentioned something like, "Hey, I heard somebody's at the castle might need some help," because once you visit the kingdom and you find that the gates close, there's little to no reason to visit the kingdom until the story progression tells you to. So keep that in mind if you're playing it. If you don't want to miss out on quests, you might want to visit the kingdom's gate every time you get done with the main story event in the game, so you don't miss out on an important quest. It's optional, but it still stinks that was the last quest and I wasn't able to do it because I wasn't aware of it. Next one, this was a little odd. The game has a shield in the game, but there's no guarding in the game, and as well as there is no dodging in the game. This was a little cumbersome during certain fights or boss fights where you couldn't really get out of the way quick enough of an attack because there's no dodge, or you couldn't guard because there's no guard. As well as that the game has in the settings where you can turn on auto dash, where you don't have to keep pushing up, forward to dash. You just constantly have ADOL dash all the time. I don't know why you would ever not use this because, as I said, since there's no dodging or guarding, speed movement and jumping is going to be crucial. So I would highly recommend you have it turned on where you're always auto dashing when you unlock dashing in the game. As well as I do want to point out about certain boss fights. While I did enjoy the game, there were some boss fights that were just a chore. If I luckily wasn't power grinding so I can really max out my level as well as get better equipment before I fought the bosses, some of the bosses would have just been an utter chore to fight because they were really... While the game's graphic and aesthetic was really nice, sometimes the depth of field can be really frustrating to tell when exactly you're about to get hit with a projectile, as well as that there was just some fights that really felt like a trial and error system where you really couldn't really win the first time unless you got lucky. And I had to point that out about the final boss in the game. With the final boss, the game's play changes up drastically where it really becomes a trial and error system. And I have to give immediate advice that there is a pendant you can buy at the village that will revive you once you have it equipped. I highly recommend before you fight the final boss, you have that pendant equipped because boy oh boy, that final boss, especially like I said, I played the game on hard, it was rough because without that pendant, I would still be probably at it right now. Again, it's not that bad once you try and air yourself enough, but some of it is like RNG, so if you just have bad luck and he does a certain move and there is absolutely nothing you can do to get out of the way because there's no dodge and there's no guard, so there's not a lot of options for you to be able to react with RNG at play. So that was a little disappointing, but overall, the story, the characters, the overflow of the game, it was just a very, I want to use the word junk food, but it was just very quick and simple to eat and enjoy. It was a very hacky slashy kind of game. It's very spammy where you can just keep attacking or you keep shooting spells. You get your magic recharge really quickly. As I said, it was, even though there was quite a bit of grinding in the game, it was still fun and rewarding. But that's granted, I was able to put it on turbo mode. But it was fun just to grind up, get higher levels, and then just buy better equipment. And I did like how the equipment worked. You buy a gear or you find a piece of equipment, and then you can take it to the blacksmith and you can upgrade it. You can upgrade it 3 times before it maxes out its level. And I just thought the concept and the utility was all really done well. And I overall had a good time with it. I can highly recommend it if you're somebody who's been interested in it. I actually really like the graphical aesthetic. I've always loved chibi designs. It's like Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy IX or Final Fantasy Tactics. I always love those little chibi characters walking around the screen. I've always loved it. So seeing this game, I actually had a pretty good time with it because I love the graphical aesthetic of the game. But I wished it was a little bit more fleshed out. Granted, I am aware this was a PSP game. You can't even use L2 and R2 in the button customization because PSP didn't have an L2 and R2. And just the right joystick is not utilized at all. It would have been cool if the right joystick was like God of War or Knack, where you can push the right joystick in a direction and that's where direction he would dodge. It would have been, I wish there was a little bit more fleshed out. I would love to see a new iteration of a style game of this, even if it is another ease kind of style, but just more utilization of the control, as I said, including map and dodging and guarding, as well as maybe expanding the environment just a little bit more to be able to let more exploration when you unlock more abilities, kind of like a Metrovania, but again, I'm a Metrovania junkie, so I want every game to be a Metrovania. But to me, I enjoyed this game. It was a quick, simple, ingestible. It took me maybe around, I think it was around 17, maybe 18 hours to complete. Now, I didn't unlock, like I said, I didn't get everything because I missed one quest. And I might do a New Game Plus at some point because it is really digestible. You can really pick it up, play it, and enjoy it. And then sometimes that's really nice. You don't need every game to be a 60, 80, 100 hour long game. It's really nice to have these games you can just pop in and play, consume, and then not have to fear coming back and have to be a massive commitment. You can just pick it up, enjoy it, at it again at your own leisure. So like always, thank you all so much for watching. I will try to leave links down in the description. It was all around a fairly working physical copy. I don't know what this 78 megabytes is fixing. I wish I would know, but since PS5 doesn't give you an update history, there's no way to know. But I didn't experience any problems whatsoever. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!